Hi, I'm Dana with wholehealthdana.com, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a copycat version of the whole food salmon dip. Now, if you've had whole food salmon dip, you know how wonderful it is, and you can thank me now. If you've never had it, once you try this, you can probably thank me later. It is amazing. I love salmon, and this is really easy to make. Now, you want to make your own salmon, and I do have an additional video if you want to learn how to bake your own salmon, but it's really easy. And then I'm going to put everything in my food processor. However, if you do not have a food processor, you can cut up everything, mince up everything in small chunks and mix it together by hand. So I've got the top of my food processor and I've got the chopping blade in it. So the first thing we need is we need a bunch of fresh dill. So I just buy a packet of it at the store, and I'm going to just cut it into some smaller pieces. I'm going to leave the stems on. I don't think they hurt anything. You need about 1/3 of a cup of a red onion, and I just cut a chunk off of a red onion to what I thought would be approximately 1/3 of a cup. Need a tablespoon of lemon juice. So I like to do fresh when I can, if I have a lemon or I have the time. So I'm going to cut my lemon in half. You could just squeeze it, but I have this awesome juice press that I try to use as often as possible. So I'm just going to squeeze in about half of that lemon. Need a 1/2 teaspoon of ground black pepper. Okay, so our last two ingredients, we need 10 ounces of salmon. I always make sure I buy wild-caught salmon. Don't buy farmed. In fact, if farmed is my only option, I just won't eat it. So during the winter months, you'll find that wild-caught salmon, unless you buy it frozen at the store, you usually can't find it in the meat counter. So I have pre-done up my salmon. I did this yesterday. I'm just going to break it up. Not a lot, because the food processor is going to do most of the work for me. And then lastly, you need 1 1/4 cups of mayonnaise. I make homemade mayonnaise. I have a video on YouTube and also the printable recipe on my website. Alright, so that's all the ingredients we have. Now we are going to put this on our food processor and get started. Okay, so we're just going to pulse this now until it is completely chopped up and combined. You want to be a little bit careful. You don't want it to get so thin that it's runny and there's no longer any chunks. You don't want it to be pureed. So I would say I pulse that maybe 15-20 times, and it looks perfect right now. Now, if you overcooked your salmon, if it were a little bit dry, you can always add just a little bit more mayonnaise. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it's completed. And what you're going to do when you get to this point is you're just going to give it a taste test and see if it needs to be adjusted. Does it need a little bit more lemon juice? I know for my case it always needs salt, but I don't like to do it until afterwards, because sometimes the salmon can be kind of salty. Sometimes if you're making your own homemade mayonnaise, it's more saltier, and that's all there is to it. So I sometimes like to use my plantain chips. If you've seen my video and my instructions on making plantain chips to dip in it, sometimes I'll put it on my plantain wrap. Sometimes I literally just eat it off of the spoon, dip veggies in it. It's just so good. I can't say enough about it. So I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Whole Health Dana in making a copycat version of the whole food salmon dip. If you would like more recipes like this, check out my website at www.wholehealthdana.com, where you can also find a printable recipe. And if you would like to follow me on social media, check the links below. And thank you for coming along. We will see you next time.